And we welcome you to United in Liberty Radio. Dustin Harris, Joe Olivas, the third least listened to talk show in all of America. Hey, Joe, how are you doing this fine evening?
Doing great. How about yourself?
You know what? I'm hanging in there. It's been a busy week for me, but productive week. And I love productive weeks because they put me on top of the world and make me want to strive to be better. And how about you, Joe?
Oh, I'm having the same type of week. I always like to feel like I'm getting something accomplished, like I'm getting things done. There's nothing more frustrating than sitting at a desk or computer or trying to accomplish something and feel like nothing's happening and like you're just standing still. I mean, it's just a waste of time, and I don't like that feeling. I feel when I'm unproductive, I feel like there's many more things that I could be doing with my time, and so it's great when you have those productive type weeks.
You betcha. You know, it's been a busy one for me. It's been one of those weeks where it's you got so much going on, sometimes you don't know where to start, but I'd rather have that than the opposite. So, but it's good to be back with you again on United in Liberty Radio. This is the talk show that we talk about real things. We talk about truth, talk about principles, talk about things that really matter. You can turn on a lot of talk shows throughout the United States of America, whether they be local or national, and they may be talking about a lot of stuff. But we like to talk about principles. We like to talk about truth. Sometimes we'll talk about some of the same things that are being talked about in the news. Sometimes we'll deviate from that. But regardless of what we're talking about, we always try to bring it back to principles. We try to bring it back to the 12 Principles of Liberty. We try to bring it back to United in Liberty. And, Joe, you shared something with me this week that I found quite interesting, an article off of biggovernment.com from Jason Adkins. It kind of had United in Liberty written all over it.
Not only United in Liberty, I think any group like United in Liberty, any group of individuals, whether they're affiliated with a particular organization or not, that just wants to be involved in what's going on in our community, hoping or around their community, holding our government officials accountable. This just really attacks the heart of our governing system. Individuals, the people, the government is beholden to the people, and this really attacks the people. Is what we're hearing here. So it's just something that was pretty frustrated. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it had United in Liberty's name written all over it as a target, if you will, just simply because of the nature of the article.
Well, and I'll tell you what first came to my mind as I'm reading through this article. And by the way, the listeners out there can pull up the article on biggovernment.com. The article is called Grassroots Lobbying Laws Shut Out Ordinary Citizens from Politics. And, we're going to get into this a little bit today, Joe, but as I read through this, I just kept thinking about those gentlemen, Samuel Adams, the Adams brothers, the individuals that really started this country moving in the direction of truth and getting away from kings and getting away from monarchies into a representative republic that we enjoy today, that brought about the Constitution of the United States. Of course, that following the Great Revolutionary War, a war for freedom, a war for truth, a war for principles. I thought about these brethren underneath the Liberty Tree. And as they started meeting together and talking about things that mattered to them, talking about the burdens that were being put upon them by the King of England. For many, many years, a lot of people think that it all started with the Boston Tea Party. But if you read the history of the United States of America, and specifically the colonists here in the United States of America, if you really start to study what happened leading up to the Tea Party, and by the way, we hear tea parties all the time, and they don't quite have the same meaning that they did back then. A lot of people, I think, have a mistaken idea of what happened on those ships that night when Samuel Adams and others dressed up as Indians and darkened their faces and dumped that tea into the harbor. That really came about not because of a couple of days, a couple of weeks, or even a couple of years of tyrannical rule over these individuals, but many, many, many years. In fact, in the Declaration of Independence itself, it indicates that you've really got to have a long train of abuses or usurpations before you come forth and try to change a government. And if they had, if there's any country that had that, leading up to the Revolutionary War, leading up to the shot that was heard around the world, leading up to the Boston Massacre and the as we talked about, the Tea Party, the Boston Tea Party. It was those colonists, and it all started because a group of people decided to get together and meet under a tree that they called the Liberty Tree.
Well, and just by virtue of them meeting together and discussing what was going on, they're in potential violation of, if you will, of what individuals were wanting to create, kind of a grassroots lobby registration. They're lobbying their government, or they're gathering together to discuss what's going on within their country, and it's considered to violate lobbying laws.
Right.
I mean, that is just so outright pathetic to even think that the country itself, the United States of America, would be in a position where you'd have individuals in Congress, no less, saying we have to put these types of things in place because how dare these people try and gather together and change what's going on here in the government.
Right.
I mean, because that's really what, when you think of grassroots movement, anytime you bring up grassroots movements, these are movements of the President of the United States was elected by grassroots movement.
Absolutely.
Okay? And when you think grassroots movement, you think of individuals that are meeting in their homes, in their living rooms, or different parts in their community, gathering in small clusters or groups and saying, this is what we like, this is what we don't like, this is what we want to see happen, this is what we want to do, divvying out assignments. I mean, exactly what we do in our activism part of our community action committee meetings.
Right.
That's exactly what we do. We meet together in small groups, and we talk about what's going on in the community, and we go out and we try and affect change in the community based upon principle. Not just because I don't like the idea or I don't like the issue. I have to have a reason behind that issue. I have to have a principle to support my position. If I don't, then obviously there's nothing wrong with the position, right? I mean,
or it's all emotional.
Yeah, or it's all emotional. But if what I'm dealing with from a grassroots level, if there's no principles behind my position, then either I'm violating principle, or that issue or that thing adheres to principle.
Right, right.
And so there's no reason to create this grassroots movement. When you think grassroots movement, all it is a bunch of individuals or a group of individuals wanting to hold their elected representatives accountable. That's all it is.
Well, go back to the definition, as you pointed out very wisely, of grassroots. Why do they use the word grassroots? Grassroots comes from the fact that you are the lowest of the low. You're not at the top looking down. You're not even mid-level looking across. What you are is a group of individuals at the most basic of levels looking to change an issue. It's a group, as you pointed out, of neighbors. It's a group of individuals that belong to a school district. It's a group of people that I would even say maybe even trickles up to the state level, but even that's getting away from the grassroots. What we're talking about is a bunch of people who, like the Founding Fathers, who, like the Sons of Liberty, saw something wrong, saw something that was oppressive, felt oppressed, felt that there was a tyrannical thumb upon them from several thousands of miles away across the Atlantic Ocean, and this tyrannical king decided he was going to rule every aspect of their lives with tyrannical taxes, with rules and regulations that were just ridiculous, with housing his soldiers in private homes, with arms violations, in other words, gun control. We were dealing back in the 1760s into the early 1770s with the same kind of things that we're dealing with today. And all we got to do, Joe, is go back to the Declaration of Independence and read the Declaration of Independence. And I'm telling you, Joe, you can put our day in that document that was signed July 4th, 1776. You really can see the same types of tyrannical things happening and leading up to, and everybody talks about, oh, you can't talk about revolution. I don't know if you caught this.